great thing about doing these literary shows is I get to do comedy after a fucking sad junkie story. I'm sorry, uplifting. The heckling begins. Fuck you guys. So, Happy New Year, everybody. Did everybody have a good New Year?
Yeah.
BART police kill anyone this year? No? Did you all remember to bring your laminated, the difference between a gun and a taser card when you go on BART? Because apparently that's key to surviving those rides. No? Too soon? All right. So, I'm in a somewhat, perhaps you can tell, bleak mood. The fucking, between the weird clusterfuck of San Francisco politics and then people getting shot up in Arizona, it's kind of freaky right now. And so I was reading the New York Times yesterday, and there was this thing that was talking about this sort of the tone of our political discourse, and the writer, that was a opinion piece, and the writer said, well, of course, the American people would take up arms if they were confronted with totalitarianism and socialism. And then I thought it would be a great idea if I spent my night right before bedtime watching Aryan Nation videos on YouTube. And like you do. And I just want to tell, we need to talk, people. We are not prepared for this shit. Can we talk? We are not prepared. Do you know there are people out there fucking getting ready for the battle for civilization? Getting guns. That's what this whole that guy in Arizona was about. He was all these people with guns and rehearsing how to live on ants and stuff. They're ready for the shit. And when it comes down, whether it's the race war or the apocalypse, the shit's gonna come down and we're gonna be hold on, we need to limber up first. We are not ready. Do you know how hard it is to kick down a door in Uggs? They are ready for the race war. And it's funny, I got to see people, Uggs, people were calling their friends out. They're getting ready for the race war, and we're getting ready for brunch. We're just not, we are not the people here, Mission District, who are going to fucking defend freedom and democracy from the forces of reaction. We need to butch it up a little bit. Do some crunches at least. I mean, get your angry face ready. It's just not working. So I'm freaked out, is what I'm trying to say. And then I was getting into reading about the apocalypse, and what the people who are predicting that are thinking about. And do you know that 25% of Americans believe that the Bible predicted 9/11? Isn't that fucked up? That means that logically that would have to mean that the Bible also predicted Islam and cities and nations and airplanes and giant pretzels and Howard Stern, and I don't think that happened. The other thing is that there are 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: pestilence, war, famine, and death. But it doesn't quite work for me because clearly death is implied by the other 3 horsemen of the apocalypse. I think we can all agree that war, famine, and pestilence without death are irritating, but perhaps not the end of history. They're just a bad Burning Man. So evocative of the Harley Strictly Bluegrass Festival. You know who you are. So speaking of which, fuck the Harley Strictly Bluegrass Festival. By the way, I'm glad we had some good bluegrass. But the thing that's interesting to me about hipsters ironically yelling "yeehaw" is that it's a bit of culture where honestly, if you go to the Harley Strictly Bluegrass Festival and did a poll, 97% of the people there would hate everything else about Appalachian culture. They'd be oh, those fucking inbred, illiterate, angry, racist, coal mining, moonshining, meth using assholes, but they sing a great tune. They can fuck up Amazing Grace, bring your banjo over, and then go back the fuck out there. Anyway, so again, the fact-checking heckling, so not appropriate. It's a journey, it's not a destination. You should know that as artists, we distort truth to get to deeper truth. So the apocalypse. Oh, I actually want to read you something. So there are these websites, these fucking apocalypse countdown websites, like RaptureReady.com. Here's an excerpt where they're monitoring our proximity to the end of days, and there's an index. The Rapture Index is by no means to predict the rapture. However, the index is designed to measure the type of activity that could act as a precursor to the rapture. You could say the Rapture Index is a Dow Jones Industrial Average of end-time activity. How sensible is that? But I think it would be better if you viewed it as a prophetic speedometer. The higher the number, the faster we're moving towards the occurrence of pre-tribulation rapture. And here are some of the things that the Rapture Index has identified as things that are signs that we're moving closer towards the apocalypse. Quote, 64% of Israelis want to rebuilding the temple. Unedited. Tila Tequila. These people don't know what Tila Tequila is. The presidency of the European Union, quote, which could be a precursor for the Antichrist. Pentium chips, Elizabeth Taylor, and sexting are all signs of the coming of the apocalypse. But then as I was reading about the apocalypse, I'm a Jew. Is that obvious, by the way? As I was reading, I'm not a part of it. I'm not privy to that transaction of the apocalypse. And Christians, one of the big distinctions is that Christians believe that like everything in the Bible is literally, historically, factually accurate. That there's no Christian concept of metaphor. Jews, we have an idea of metaphor. Like we read the burning bush, but we know that means gonorrhea. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just a different. So, and the interesting thing about Christianity is that so the way the apocalypse game works is that our sinning accelerates the onset of the apocalypse so that they can look good and be redeemed, right? So they need us to sin so that when there's a reckoning that they look better than we do. Except Christianity is like most things in that most of its practitioners are bad at it. And so they create conditions of temptation and then are tempted themselves. And so that sort of dynamic, and this is the whole struggle that for Christian America is they're like, suck a dick. That looks delicious. You know what I mean? And then they get confused. Because then they're on our side. So, I was being here. I was in New Mexico for over the Christmas, visiting my in-laws, and so that was weird because I just got to see shit that I don't see here. Like I'm the kind of person who would honk at a protest that I drove by in support, but here I drive a Prius, and again, if you're driving a Prius, the honk is implied. Like if you have ever heard a Prius honk, it just sounds like. So then I went to New Mexico and I rented a car. And it was like a big fuck off American car, and I was driving down the street and I drove by a Planned Parenthood, and there was a protest in front of Planned Parenthood, and it was a pro-choice protest, and I was like, great, I get to honk at a protest, it's my moment, and I started to swing for the horn, and I hit the horn, but because I live in the space-time continuum, by the time I saw hand to horn, sound came out, I had moved, because I was driving, and I got in front of the anti-choice protest, and then I had to, handle that, so I was like, Hank, not you, them, give it back. I don't feel good about this at all. So finally, so as part of this month, I decided to give up meat and alcohol for the month. Did you toast me? Yeah. Oh, thank you. Just to, I don't know why. I got tempted. So, because I have a problem with eating, and because I realize I have two gears. I've got hungry and full, and by full or by hungry, I mean that food exists and I can reach it. That's my concept of hungry. And by full, I mean about to vomit. And we say that kind of thing. We say I ate myself sick, and there aren't so many things where we would as our measure of the goodness of the thing, we would use a reference to a proximity to badness. Do you know what I mean? Like you would never say, I fucked until I almost got AIDS. But you would eat yourself sick. And I don't have gradations of like between hungry and full. I don't have a concept of satisfied or satiated. And drunks have more different categories. There's like buzzed and tipsy and lit and blasted and wasted and whatever. Asterisks. For more on this, see the work of Bucky Sinister. And I think part of this is that drunks make better writers than gluttons. And so you know who you are. And so, like, I just don't have a concept, and I have all these, like, twisted rationalizations for why I eat like shit. So, and here are some, maybe you recognize any of these. I deserve a treat. You have that one? Yeah? Well, I'm here. Like, oh, there's a parking place in front of Arizmendi. God wants me to have a scone. Like, I sort of have that. It would be a waste if I only ate a shitty thing here, you know. And then, and these are like, I'm about to say one of the kikiest things I've ever said in my life. If I eat a lot of free food, I'm saving money. But if I don't eat all the food that I paid for, I'm wasting money. Okay. And then there's a part of me, like, I'm defensive about it. Like, I meet people who are like, oh yeah, I just eat when I'm hungry and I stop eating when I'm not hungry anymore. And I'm like, fuck you! Like, it's not just like, oh, we're different. I'm angry about it because there's a part of me that feels like for me to eat a lot, like I'm beating Hitler somehow. Do you know what I mean? Like I have to eat as much as possible because I never know when I need to be ready to, like, be dispatched back to a labor camp or something, or like hike across Siberia or whatever, and like it's revenge somehow that I can eat this much. Like Hitler put my grandparents in the oven as I put this brisket in the oven. Like it's sort of, that's the. Bucky's laughing, okay? It's for him. Fuck you guys, you're anti-Semitic. He understands me, I don't need you. So, I will be doing Iron Comic at SF Sketchfest on January 20th. My show Laughter Against the Machine with W. Kamau Bell, Janine Brito, and Harley Condabalo will be at the New Parish in Oakland February 8th and 9th. Come see that. If you like me, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and whatever. And I'll also be appearing tomorrow at Modern Times reading magazines alone. Thank you very much, everybody.